The galactic threat. The vast expanse of space had never felt so oppressive. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the encroaching Zarkov fleet. Humanity's last bastion, Earth, lay behind them, a gleaming blue marble that held the hopes and dreams of billions. "Status report," Chen barked, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel's fingers danced across his console. "The Zarkov fleet will be in range in approximately 72 hours, Admiral. Our outer defense grid is operational, but simulations show it won't hold for more than a few days against their firepower." Chen nodded grimly. The Zarkov, a militant species from the galactic core, had been methodically conquering and subjugating worlds for centuries. Humanity had fought valiantly for the past decade, but one by one, their colonies had fallen. Now, only Earth remained. "What's the status of Project Shadowfall?" Chen asked, turning to Dr. Ilara Voss, the brilliant physicist who had been working tirelessly on humanity's last hope. Dr. Voss, her silver hair tied back in a tight bun, looked up from her datapad. "We're close, Admiral. The phase shift technology is stable in our latest tests. But," she hesitated, her brow furrowing. "But what, Doctor?" Chen pressed. "The energy requirements are enormous. To shift an object the size of a planet, it's never been attempted before. The risks are greater than the certainty of annihilation." Chen finished for her. "We're out of options, Doctor. How soon can we be ready?" Dr. Voss straightened, a determined glint in her eye. "Give me 48 hours. I'll have the phase shift generators ready for planetary deployment." As the doctor hurried off to oversee the final preparations, Chen turned back to the viewport. The stars seemed to mock her with their cold, distant light. Humanity had reached for those stars, dreaming of a future among them. Now, they were fighting for the right to exist at all. "Admiral," Patel's voice cut through her thoughts. "We're receiving a transmission from the Zarkov fleet." Chen's jaw clenched. On screen, the holographic display flickered, revealing the imposing figure of Arch-Conqueror Zexlor. His obsidian scales gleamed in the dim light of his command center, 4 yellow eyes fixed on Chen with predatory intensity. "Greetings, Admiral Chen." Zexlor's voice was a low rumble, filled with smug satisfaction. "I trust you've had time to reconsider your species' foolish resistance." Chen met his gaze unflinchingly. "Our answer remains the same, Arch-Conqueror. Humanity will not submit." Zexlor's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Admirable, but futile. Your defenses crumble before us. Your colonies are ash. Soon, Earth will join them, unless you see reason." "We've seen what your kind of reason brings," Chen retorted. "Slavery, exploitation, the destruction of everything that makes us human. We choose to stand, even if it means our end." The Zarkov leader's eyes narrowed. "Then you have chosen extinction. A pity. Your species showed such potential." The transmission cut off abruptly. Chen turned to her crew, seeing a mixture of fear and determination on their faces. "You all know what's at stake," she began, her voice carrying across the bridge. "Humanity stands on the brink, but we have faced impossible odds before. We have stared into the abyss and refused to blink. Now we prepare for our greatest challenge yet." She paused, making eye contact with each officer. "Project Shadowfall is our last, best hope. In the coming hours, each of you will play a crucial role. The fate of our entire species rests on our shoulders. I know the burden is heavy, but I also know that there is no crew, no group of individuals I would rather have by my side in this moment." A chorus of "Yes, Admiral," echoed across the bridge. "Prep all defense systems," Chen ordered. "Coordinate with ground control for the deployment of the phase shift generators. And send word to every ship, every station, every bunker on Earth. Operation Shadowfall commences in 47 hours." As her crew sprang into action, Chen allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The plan was audacious, perhaps even insane, to shift an entire planet into another dimension, hiding it from the Zarkov onslaught. It was the stuff of science fiction. But then again, humanity had always excelled at making the impossible possible. In her quarters later that night, Chen found herself unable to sleep. The weight of command, the fate of billions, pressed down on her. She stood before the viewport, gazing at the earth below. Glittering cities, vast oceans, swirling clouds, all of it, everything humanity had ever known, hung in the balance. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called out. Dr. Voss stepped into the room, looking as haggard as Chen felt. "Admiral, I thought you should know. The final simulations are complete. We're as ready as we'll ever be." Chen nodded. "And the risks?" Voss hesitated. "Still significant. The energy release could be catastrophic if containment fails. And even if it succeeds, we don't know what awaits us in the phase-shifted space. We could be trading one form of destruction for another." "But it's a chance," Chen said softly. "A chance we didn't have before." "Yes," Voss agreed. "A chance." The two women stood in silence for a moment, the enormity of what they were about to attempt hanging between them. "You should rest, Doctor," Chen finally said. "Tomorrow will test us all." As Voss turned to leave, Chen called out, "Ilara." The scientist paused. "Thank you for giving us hope." A tired smile crossed Voss's face. "Hope is all we have left, Sarah. Let's make it count." As the door closed behind Dr. Voss, Admiral Chen turned back to the viewport. In less than 2 days, the fate of humanity would be decided. Either they would pull off the greatest feat of scientific achievement in history, or they would face extinction. The stars continued their silent vigil, indifferent to the drama unfolding beneath them. But somewhere out there, hurtling through the void, the Zarkov fleet approached, a ticking clock counting down to humanity's moment of truth. Chen's hand tightened on the railing. Whatever happened, they would face it together. And just maybe, they would rewrite the very laws of physics to ensure humanity's survival. The stage was set. The pieces were in motion. And in the heart of the solar system, Earth waited, on the brink of either salvation or oblivion. Project Shadowfall. The next 24 hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. Every corner of the globe hummed with purpose as humanity prepared for its most ambitious undertaking. In laboratories, factories, and launch sites, countless individuals worked tirelessly, each playing their part in the grand design of Project Shadowfall. Admiral Chen found herself in the heart of it all, coordinating efforts from the newly established Shadowfall Command Center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing real-time updates from around the world and the encroaching Zarkov fleet. "Status on the phase shift generators?" Chen asked, her voice hoarse from hours of non-stop communication. Dr. Voss, looking equally exhausted, consulted her datapad. "Final calibrations are underway. We've positioned generators at strategic points around the globe. If our calculations are correct, they should create a stable phase envelope around the entire planet." Chen nodded, allowing herself a moment of hope. "And the power requirements?" "We've tapped into every power grid, every reactor on Earth," Voss replied. "It's barely enough, but it should suffice for the initial shift. After that," she trailed off. "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it," Chen finished. "What's our timeline?" Before Voss could answer, alarms blared throughout the command center. Lieutenant Patel's voice cut through the chaos. "Admiral, we've detected an advanced scout of the Zarkov fleet entering the solar system. They've accelerated beyond our projections." Chen's mind raced. How long until they reach Earth? At their current speed, less than 12 hours. A heavy silence fell over the command center. Their carefully laid plans were unraveling before their eyes. "Dr. Voss," Chen said, her voice calm despite the storm of emotions inside her. "Can we initiate the phase shift ahead of schedule?" Voss's eyes widened. Admiral, we haven't completed all the safety checks. The risks will be significantly less than facing the Zarkov unprepared. Chen cut her off. I need options, Doctor, not objections. Voss took a deep breath, visibly steeling herself. We can do it, but we'll need to cut some corners. The shift might be rougher, less stable, and we won't have time for a gradual power-up. We'll have to hit it with everything we've got, all at once. Chen nodded grimly. Do it. Lieutenant Patel, send word to all Earth Defense Forces. Operation Shadowfall commences in 3 hours. All non-essential personnel are to report to designated shelter areas immediately. As her orders were relayed across the globe, Chen turned back to the holographic displays. The Zarkov scout ships were visible now, ominous dots of red against the backdrop of space. Behind them, the main fleet loomed, a tidal wave of destruction poised to crash down upon Earth. Admiral, Dr. Voss said softly, there's something else you should know. She hesitated, clearly wrestling with the weight of her next words. The phase shift. It's not just going to move Earth. It's going to take a significant portion of our solar system with it. Chen's brow furrowed. How significant? Everything within the orbit of Mars, at minimum. Possibly out to the asteroid belt. The calculations are imprecise given our accelerated timeline. The implications hit Chen like a physical blow. They weren't just hiding Earth. They were stealing away with a chunk of the solar system itself. The audacity of it was almost laughable. Well, Chen said, a wry smile tugging at her lips despite the gravity of the situation, I suppose the Zarkov can't say we're not thinking big. A nervous chuckle rippled through the command center, breaking some of the tension. All right, people. Chen addressed her staff, her voice carrying the weight of command. This is it. The moment everything has been building towards. I won't lie to you. What we're about to attempt is unprecedented, dangerous, and quite possibly insane. But it's also our only shot at survival. Each of you knows your role. Execute it to the best of your abilities. Humanity is counting on us. As the command center erupted into focused activity, Chen found a quiet moment with Dr. Voss. Ilara, she said, using the scientist's first name, I need to know, do you really think this will work? Voss met her gaze, a mix of fear and determination in her eyes. Honestly, Sarah, I don't know. We're pushing the boundaries of known physics. We could save humanity, or we could tear reality apart at the seams. But I do know one thing. If anyone can pull this off, it's us. Chen nodded, squeezing Voss's shoulder in a rare display of affection. Then let's make history. The next few hours passed in a whirlwind of last-minute preparations. Around the globe, phase shift generators hummed to life, drawing unprecedented amounts of power from every available source. Military forces stood ready, prepared to defend Earth for as long as necessary to complete the shift. And in homes, shelters, and bunkers, billions of humans waited with bated breath, hoping against hope that their world would survive the coming storm. As the deadline approached, Chen stood at the heart of the command center, surrounded by her senior staff. A large countdown timer dominated the central display, its red numbers ticking inexorably toward zero. All systems are go, Admiral, Paddle reported. Phase shift generators at 100% capacity. Power grid stable. For now. Zarkov scout ships have entered lunar orbit, another officer called out. Main fleet accelerating. ETA to Earth now 7 hours in closing. Chen took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. Initiate final countdown. Shadowfall commences in T-minus 60 seconds. As the seconds ticked away, Chen found her thoughts drifting to all those who had brought them to this moment. The scientists who had theorized the impossible. The engineers who had made it reality. The soldiers who had bought them time with their blood and sacrifice. And the billions of ordinary people who had placed their trust in this audacious plan. 10 seconds. Patel's voice cut through her reverie. Chen gripped the edge of the command console, her knuckles white. May whatever gods are out there watch over us, she whispered. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Initiate phase shift. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, the world exploded into chaos. The ground beneath them bucked and heaved like a living thing. Alarms blared as energy readings spiked off the charts. Through it all, Chen clung to her post, shouting orders and encouragement to her team. On the displays, they watched as a shimmering curtain of energy enveloped the Earth, spreading outward at impossible speed. The moon vanished behind the veil, followed by Mars and the inner planets. And then, in a flash of light that momentarily blinded every sensor, Earth and its cosmic neighbors vanished. In the stunned silence that followed, Chen found her voice. Status report. Did it work? Patel's fingers flew over his console. I think so, Admiral. We're receiving telemetry from our outer system probes. From their perspective, Earth and the inner planets have disappeared. A cheer went up from the command staff, but Chen silenced them with a raised hand. And us? Where are we? Dr. Voss, her face pale but exhilarated, studied the incoming data. We've done it, Admiral. We've shifted into a pocket dimension. We're hidden. As the implications sank in, Chen allowed herself a small smile. They had done the impossible. They had rewritten the laws of physics and stolen away with an entire section of the solar system. But as she looked at the readings coming in from their new home, Chen knew their trials were far from over. The phase-shifted space was unstable, roiling with strange energies. And somewhere out there, the Zarkoth would be realizing that their prey had slipped through their fingers. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure. Well done, everyone, Chen said, her voice carrying across the command center. But don't celebrate just yet. We've won the battle, not the war. Now we need to figure out how to survive in this new reality we've created. As her team set to work with renewed purpose, Chen gazed at the altered star field on the main display. They had taken a leap into the unknown, risking everything on a desperate gamble. Now, the real challenge began, forging a future for humanity in a universe they barely understood. But they had already achieved the impossible once, and with the spirit and determination that had brought them this far, Chen knew they could do it again. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them together, hidden from their enemies, but unbowed and unbroken. The phase shift had given them a chance. Now it was up to them to make the most of it. The Great Shift. The initial euphoria of Project Shadowfall's success quickly gave way to a sobering reality. Earth, along with a significant portion of the inner solar system, now existed in a pocket dimension, a realm of swirling energies and altered physical laws that humanity barely understood. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Council, delivering her report on the current situation. The faces of world leaders, both in person and via hologram, wore expressions ranging. The Great Shift. The initial euphoria of Project Shadowfall's success quickly gave way to a sobering reality. Earth, along with a significant portion of the inner solar system, now existed in a pocket dimension, a realm of swirling energies and altered physical laws that humanity barely understood. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Council, delivering her report on the current situation. The faces of world leaders, both in person and via hologram, wore expressions ranging from awe to thinly veiled fear. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen began, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. We have achieved what many thought impossible. Earth and its neighboring planets are now hidden from the Zarkoth threat. However, our challenges are far from over. She gestured to a holographic display of their new cosmic neighborhood. Strange energy patterns pulsed and flowed around the familiar shapes of Earth, Mars, and Venus. The pocket dimension we now inhabit is highly unstable. Dr. Voss and her team are working around the clock to understand and stabilize our new environment. But the fact remains, we are in uncharted territory, both scientifically and strategically. One of the council members, a stern-faced woman Chen recognized as the European Union's representative, leaned forward. "And what of the Zarkov, Admiral? Surely they must have noticed our departure." Chen nodded grimly. "Our long-range sensors detected significant Zarkov activity in the space we previously occupied. They appear to be in disarray, searching for any trace of us. But make no mistake, they will not give up easily. We must assume they are working on a way to breach our dimensional barrier." Murmurs of concern rippled through the council chamber. Chen pressed on, determined to convey both the gravity of their situation and the potential it held. "However, our current predicament also presents unprecedented opportunities. The unique properties of this pocket dimension could revolutionize our understanding of physics, potentially leading to advancements in energy production, propulsion, and defensive technologies. If we can harness these forces, we may emerge stronger than ever before." As Chen concluded her report, the council erupted into heated debate. Plans were proposed and discarded rapid fire, everything from attempting to return to normal space to launching preemptive strikes against the Zarkov. Amidst the chaos, Chen felt a tap on her shoulder. Dr. Ilara Voss stood there, her face pale with a mixture of excitement and worry. "Admiral," she whispered, "we've made a discovery. You need to see this immediately." Excusing herself from the council, Chen followed Voss to a makeshift laboratory that had been set up adjacent to the council chambers. Holographic displays flickered with equations and sensor readings that Chen could barely comprehend. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Chen asked, her brow furrowed. Voss took a deep breath. "We've detected anomalies in the fabric of our pocket dimension. Tears, for lack of a better word. And through these tears, we're picking up signals. Signals that don't match any known civilization in our original universe." Chen's eyes widened as the implications sank in. "Are you saying?" "Yes, Admiral," Voss confirmed, a note of awe in her voice. "We may have inadvertently created a bridge to entirely new dimensions, possibly even parallel universes." For a moment, Chen was speechless. They had sought merely to hide from the Zarkov, but in doing so, they may have opened doorways to realms beyond imagination. "The possibilities are staggering," Voss continued, her excitement building. "We could potentially make contact with other civilizations, ones that might help us in our fight against the Zarkov. Or we could discover resources and technologies beyond our wildest dreams." Chen nodded slowly, her tactical mind already racing with the potential advantages and dangers this discovery presented. "And the risks?" she asked, knowing there had to be a catch. Voss's expression sobered. "Significant. We don't know what's on the other side of these tiers, and any attempt to widen them could destabilize our pocket dimension entirely. We'd be risking not just Earth, but our entire relocated solar system." Before Chen could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Lieutenant Patel's voice crackled over the comm system. "Admiral Chen to the command center immediately. We have a situation." Chen and Voss exchanged a look of concern before racing to the command center. As they arrived, Chen's heart sank at the sight that greeted her on the main display. A massive Zarkov warship had appeared at the edge of their sensor range, its hull crackling with strange energies. Somehow, impossibly, it had followed them into the pocket dimension. "How?" Chen demanded, her mind reeling at the implications. Patel shook his head, bewildered. "Unknown, Admiral, but they're broadcasting a message. Audio only." "Let's hear it," Chen ordered, steeling herself for whatever came next. The harsh, guttural voice of Arch-Conqueror Zexlor filled the command center. "Humans," he growled, a note of grudging respect in his tone. "Your attempt to flee was impressive, but futile. Did you think we would not have contingencies for such trickery? You have only delayed the inevitable. Surrender now, and perhaps we will be merciful." As the transmission cut off, Chen turned to her team, seeing a mixture of fear and determination on their faces. "Options," she barked. "I want options, people." How did they follow us? And how do we stop them? As her staff scrambled to analyze the situation, Chen's mind raced. They had achieved the impossible once by shifting Earth into this pocket dimension. Now, they would have to do it again. Find a way to defeat an enemy that had followed them beyond the boundaries of known space. But as she looked around at the determined faces of her crew, at Dr. Voss already deep in discussion with her team about the dimensional tiers, Chen felt a glimmer of hope. Humanity had been pushed to the brink before, and each time they had emerged stronger, more resilient. This new chapter in their struggle against the Zarkoth would be no different. They would adapt, innovate, and overcome. And perhaps, in the process, they would unlock secrets of the universe that would change everything. "All right," Chen said, her voice cutting through the chaos of the command center. "Let's show these Zarkoth what happens when you corner humanity. We didn't come this far to give up now. It's time to fight back." As her team sprang into action, Chen allowed herself a grim smile. The great shift had brought them to this point, teetering on the edge between extinction and a future filled with untold possibilities. Now it was up to them to determine which way the balance would tip. The battle for humanity's survival was about to enter a new phase, one that would be fought not just across the stars, but across the very fabric of reality itself. Alien counterattack. The Zarkoth warship loomed ominously at the edge of Earth's sensor range, a dark reminder that humanity's audacious escape had not gone unnoticed. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the heart of the Shadowfall command center, her mind racing as she assessed their options. "Status report," she barked, her eyes never leaving the main display. Lieutenant Patel's fingers flew over his console. "The Zarkoth vessel appears to be holding position, Admiral. Our sensors are having trouble getting clear readings. Something about the way they breached the dimensional barrier is interfering with our scans." Dr. Ilara Voss stepped forward, her face pale but determined. "Admiral, I think I know how they followed us. The phase shift technology. It left a trace, like a cosmic fingerprint. If the Zarkoth were able to detect and analyze that signature, they could follow it like a trail of breadcrumbs." Chen finished, a chill running down her spine. "Can they transmit our location to the rest of their fleet?" Voss shook her head. "Unlikely, at least for now. The dimensional barrier should prevent long-range communication, but it's only a matter of time before they find a way." Chen nodded grimly. "Then we need to act fast. Options, people. How do we neutralize that ship before reinforcements arrive?" As her staff debated strategies, a new alarm blared through the command center. Multiple dimensional tiers forming. An officer shouted, They're not natural, Admiral. The Zarkoth ship is generating them somehow." On the main display, they watched in horror as space itself seemed to rip open around the alien vessel. Through the tiers, they caught glimpses of other realities, some eerily similar to their own, others wildly different. "They're trying to destabilize our pocket dimension," Voss realized, her voice barely above a whisper. "If they succeed, they could tear apart the very fabric of space-time holding us here. We'd be thrown back into normal space, or worse." Chen's jaw clenched. The Zarkoth were playing a dangerous game, one that threatened not just Earth, but potentially multiple realities. "We need to close those tiers," she ordered. "Dr. Voss, is there any way to reinforce the dimensional barriers?" Before Voss could answer, a new voice cut through the chaos, one that sent shivers down Chen's spine. "Pathetic humans," Arch-Conqueror Zexlor's voice boomed through the command center. Somehow, he had hijacked their communication systems. "Your pitiful attempt to hide has only delayed the inevitable. Surrender now, or watch as we tear apart the very reality you sought to hide within." Chen's eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing, Zexlor," she shot back. "You're as trapped here as we are. Destroy this pocket dimension, and you go down with us." A harsh, guttural laugh filled the air. "You underestimate us, as always. We have mastered technologies you can barely comprehend. This pocket dimension is but the first step in our conquest of all realities. surrender, and perhaps we will allow your species to serve as our interdimensional foot soldiers." As the transmission cut off, Chen turned to her team. "I want options, and I want them now. We need to find a way to close those tiers and neutralize that ship." Dr. Voss stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and excitement. "Admiral, I have an idea. It's risky, but it might be our only shot." "I'm listening," Chen said, gesturing for Voss to continue. "The dimensional tiers," Voss explained, pulling up a holographic model. "They're not just a threat, they're an opportunity. If we can harness the energy from these breaches, we might be able to create a feedback loop, turn their own weapon against them." Chen's brow furrowed. "Explain." "We use the phase shift generators to create our own controlled tiers," Voss continued. "But instead of trying to breach other dimensions, we focus the energy back on the Zarkov ship. If my calculations are correct, we could create a localized implosion, one that would swallow their vessel without destabilizing our entire pocket dimension. And if your calculations are wrong," Chen pressed. Voss swallowed hard. "Then we risk tearing apart everything within a few light years, possibly including Earth." A heavy silence fell over the command center. The plan was audacious, perhaps even insane. But as Chen looked at the widening tiers on the main display, she knew they were out of options. "Do it," she ordered. "But I want every possible precaution in place. If this goes sideways, I want a way to shut it down fast." As Voss and her team raced to implement the plan, Chen turned her attention back to the Zarkov ship. It hung there in the void, a dark promise of destruction. But humanity had come too far, sacrificed too much, to give up now. "Initiate Operation Singularity," Chen commanded, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside her. "All defense forces on high alert. If this works, the Zarkov may attempt a desperate attack. Be ready for anything." The next hour was a blur of frantic activity. Phase shift generators across the planet were repurposed, their energy focused on creating a web of controlled dimensional tiers around the Zarkov vessel. On the main display, Chen watched as a shimmering network of energy began to surround the alien ship. "Energy buildup reaching critical levels," Paddle reported, his voice tense. "Initiating feedback loop, now." For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent flash that momentarily blinded their sensors, the space around the Zarkov ship twisted. Reality itself seemed to fold in on itself, the massive alien vessel distorting and stretching as it was caught in the gravitational maelstrom. "It's working," Voss exclaimed, her eyes wide with disbelief. "The implosion is contained. The Zarkov ship is being torn apart." But their victory was short-lived. As the alien vessel began to break apart, a surge of energy burst forth, racing along the network of tiers they had created. Alarms blared as the feedback loop threatened to spiral out of control. "Shut it down," Chen shouted. "Shut it all down now." Voss's fingers flew over her console, desperately trying to contain the chain reaction they had set in motion. "It's not responding. The energy levels are too high." As the command center erupted into chaos, Chen made a split-second decision. "Divert all power to the planetary shields," she ordered. "We need to contain this, whatever the cost." The next few moments seemed to stretch into eternity. Chen watched, helpless, as the energy surge raced towards Earth, its destructive potential beyond imagination. But at the last possible second, the planetary shields flared to life. A shimmering barrier of pure energy that enveloped the entire planet. The surge hit the shields with the force of 1,000 suns. For one heart-stopping moment, it seemed as if they would buckle under the onslaught. But they held, barely, dispersing the energy harmlessly into the void. As the blinding light faded, a stunned silence fell over the command center. On the main display, where the Zarkov ship had once loomed, there was nothing but empty space. "Status report," Chen demanded, her voice hoarse. Patel looked up from his console, a look of awe on his face. "The Zarkov ship has been completely destroyed, Admiral. No trace remains. And the dimensional tiers, they've sealed themselves." A cheer went up from the command staff, but Chen silenced them with a raised hand. "And the damage to our systems?" Voss stepped forward, looking exhausted but exhilarated. "Minimal, all things considered. The planetary shields took the brunt of it. They'll need time to recharge, but they saved us. We actually did it, Admiral. We beat them at their own game." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "We won the battle, Doctor. But the war is far from over." She turned to address the entire command center. "Well done, all of you. But don't celebrate just yet. The Zarkov will be back, and next time, they'll be ready for our tricks. We need to be prepared." As her staff set to work with renewed determination, Chen's gaze drifted to the main display. The stars looked different here in their pocket dimension, a constant reminder of how far they had come and how much they had risked. But they had done the impossible. They had stood up to the Zarkov and emerged victorious. And in doing so, they had opened up new realms of possibility, quite literally. The alien counterattack had been thwarted, but Chen knew it was only the beginning. The next phase of humanity's struggle for survival was about to begin. But for the first time since the Zarkov had appeared on their sensors all those years ago, Chen felt a glimmer of real hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them head-on. They had the courage, the ingenuity, and now the cosmic playing field to turn the tables on their would-be conquerors. The hunt was on. And this time, humanity would be the predator, not the prey. Humanity's triumph. In the months following the destruction of the Zarkov warship, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in human history. The pocket dimension that had once been their desperate refuge became a cosmic laboratory, a place where the laws of physics could be bent and reshaped by human ingenuity. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the UES Defiant, Earth's first interdimensional warship. Through the bridge's view screen, she watched as swirling energies of the pocket dimension gave way to the cold, familiar stars of their home universe. They had come full circle, returning to face their enemy on their own terms. "Status report," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel, now her executive officer, responded crisply. "All systems nominal. Admiral, phase shift drive is stable. We've successfully breached the dimensional barrier and re-entered normal space." Dr. Ilara Voss, who had insisted on joining this mission, stepped forward. "The Defiant's sensor suite is picking up Zarkov communication signals. They haven't detected us yet. Our dimensional wake is masked, just as we hypothesized." Chen nodded, a grim smile playing at her lips. "Good. Let's make our presence known. Tactical, prepare to deploy phase mines. Let's give the Zarkov a taste of their own medicine." As her crew sprang into action, Chen reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. The pocket dimension had been both their salvation and their crucible. Within its swirling energies, humanity had been forced to evolve, to push the boundaries of science and technology beyond anything they had thought possible. The phase shift technology that had once been their last, desperate hope had become the cornerstone of a new era. They had learned to harness the energy of dimensional tiers to create weapons and defenses that operated on principles the Zarkov could scarcely comprehend. And now, they were back, not as refugees or victims, but as a force to be reckoned with. "Phase mines away," the tactical officer reported. "Detonation in 3, 2, 1. The view screen flared with blinding light as the phase mines activated, tearing holes in the fabric of space-time around the nearest Zarkov outpost. Alarms blared as the enemy reacted to the sudden assault, but their responses seemed sluggish, uncoordinated. "They're in disarray," Patel observed, a note of satisfaction in his voice. "Our attack patterns are completely foreign to them." Chen allowed herself a moment of vindication before refocusing on the task at hand. Press the advantage. All ships, commence attack pattern Omega. Let's show them what humanity is capable of. The battle that followed would later be described in history books as a turning point in the war against the Zarkov. The UES Defiant, along with its sister ships, danced through space and dimensions alike, striking at will and vanishing before the enemy could respond effectively. Zarkov warships, once the terror of the galaxy, found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned. Their weapons, designed to dominate three-dimensional space, proved woefully inadequate against foes that could step sideways through reality itself. As the conflict raged, Chen received a priority communication from Earth. The face of the United Earth President filled the small screen on her command chair. "Admiral Chen," the President began, her expression a mixture of hope and concern, "we're receiving reports of your success, but we've also detected a massive energy buildup in the Zarkov home system. Our analysts believe they're preparing for a last-ditch assault, possibly with weaponry capable of threatening multiple dimensions simultaneously." Chen's mind raced, weighing options and potential outcomes. "Understood, Madam President. We anticipated this possibility. Request permission to execute Operation Endgame." There was a moment of hesitation before the President nodded gravely. "Granted, Admiral. May whatever gods are out there watch over you." As the communication ended, Chen turned to her crew. She saw determination in their eyes, mixed with a hint of fear. They all knew what Operation Endgame entailed, and the risks it carried. "Dr. Voss," Chen called out, "initiate the Cosmic Fold Protocol. All hands, prepare for trans-dimensional jump." The next few minutes were a flurry of activity as the Defiant and its fleet prepared for their most audacious maneuver yet. They would use their phase shift technology not just to move between dimensions, but to fold space-time itself, bringing the battle directly to the heart of Zarkov power. As the energy built around them, Chen felt a moment of clarity. This was what humanity had been building towards, not just since the beginning of the war, but perhaps since they first looked up at the stars and dreamed of reaching them. "Cosmic Fold initiated," Voss announced, her voice tight with concentration. Dimensional barriers collapsing. Now, the universe seemed to twist and warp around them. For a heart-stopping moment, Chen feared they had miscalculated, that they would be torn apart by the cosmic forces they were manipulating. But then, with a silent flash that seemed to reverberate through reality itself, they emerged. The Zarkov homeworld loomed before them, its orbital defenses caught completely off guard by the humans' impossible arrival. "All ships, commence attack," Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. "Deploy dimensional disruptors. Let's end this war, here and now." What followed was a battle that defied description in conventional terms. Human ships phased in and out of reality, striking at the very foundations of Zarkov power. Weapons fire tore holes in the fabric of space-time, while shield technologies derived from their time in the pocket dimension protected Earth's fleet from retaliation. And at the heart of it all was the UES Defiant, with Admiral Sarah Chen orchestrating a symphony of destruction and calculated precision. In the end, it wasn't even close. The Zarkov, for all their vaunted power and technological superiority, found themselves outmatched by a species they had once dismissed as primitive. Their homeworld was cut off from the rest of their empire, their fleets in disarray, their leadership in chaos. As the last of the Zarkov defenses crumbled, Chen received a transmission. The face that appeared on her screen was one she had come to despise. Arch-Conqueror Zexalor, leader of the Zarkov Empire. "Impossible," Zexalor rasped, his once imperious tone now laced with disbelief and fear. "How? How did you do this?" Chen allowed herself a small, grim smile. "You pushed us to the brink, Zexalor. You forced us to evolve, to transcend our limitations. In trying to destroy us, you created something far beyond what you could have imagined." She leaned forward, her eyes boring into the alien leader. "Humanity doesn't just survive, Zexalor. We adapt, we innovate, And when pushed far enough, we rewrite the very laws of the universe to ensure our survival. Zexlor's mandibles clicked in what might have been resignation. What now, human? Will you destroy us as we sought to destroy you? Chen shook her head. No, we're better than that. Your empire is finished, but your people will survive. Under the watchful eye of a galactic coalition, of course. You'll have a chance to learn, to grow beyond your conquering ways. Who knows? Maybe one day, our species might even be allies. As the transmission ended, Chen turned to her crew. She saw in their faces the same mix of emotions she felt: exhaustion, exhilaration, and a dawning realization of what they had accomplished. "Send word to Earth," she ordered, her voice thick with emotion. "The war is over. We've won." Cheers erupted across the bridge, echoed moments later by jubilant transmissions from the rest of the fleet. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had not just survived, but triumphed. As Chen gazed out at the stars, familiar constellations now viewed from the heart of what had once been enemy territory, she allowed herself to truly feel the weight of the moment. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger than ever, armed with technologies and knowledge that would propel their species to heights they had never dreamed possible. The phase shift that had started as a desperate gamble had become the key to humanity's greatest victory. They had hidden their world, reshaped the laws of physics, and in doing so, reshaped their own destiny. Whatever challenges the future held, Chen knew that humanity would face them head-on, armed with the ingenuity, courage, and adaptability that had seen them through their darkest hour. The universe, in all its infinite dimensions, awaited, and humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as explorers, innovators, and guardians of a hard-won peace. As the UES Defiant turned towards home, Admiral Sarah Chen allowed herself a moment of quiet pride. They had not just saved Earth, they had opened up a future of limitless possibilities. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning.